My ex is trying to guilt trip me into giving him the kids to use as emotional support for my ex-best friend. I have 2 children under 12 with my ex. We divorced 5 years ago after I found out he and my former best friend were having an affair. They both tried to apologize and asked for it to not ruin everything, but their actions had already ruined everything. I hate the two of them. I no longer care about how they're doing, but for my kids' sake I remain civil. I have never badmouthed them to my kids. I have never told my kids what happened. I would never want my kids to be harmed more by their father's actions than they already were, and the divorce was tough for them, and they had a hard time coming to terms with the changes. They still need therapy for some adjustment issues that have remained. My former best friend hasn't helped it either by trying to continue on as best friends despite her actions. It also didn't help that the kids went from their parents living together to their dad living with mom's former friend. But again, my primary focus has been my children. I love my kids more than I hate those two repulsive individuals. I love my kids more than myself, which is why I worked so hard to be civil in front of my kids. Because the last thing I wanted was to make nice with them. But my kids love their dad and that has never changed. My ex and this woman are now married and they tried to have children together. In December, she had her 10th miscarriage and had to be rushed to the hospital and into surgery, which left her unable to get pregnant again. I got a call from ex telling me all this and asking me to bring the children to the hospital to stay until she was ready to leave. It was my parenting time, so I told him I would not bring them to sit and wait. He was very unsettled and told me to bring the kids by and he'd get them to ask me to let them stay. I told him that wasn't happening. He made no more contact after that, and he didn't take the kids for his parenting time either or contact me about it. His mom reached out and she told me he refused to leave the hospital. He didn't see them until his parenting time came around again and she was released. There was a new tension in the air at that point. He was furious with me for keeping the kids from sitting vigil in the hospital with him. Now we have another dilemma that's become an issue. My ex booked a healing getaway for them and they want the kids to go along. It happens during my week, and it's a school week. He also wants to take his weeks as normal before and after that, so he would have them for 3 consecutive weeks. From what he stated, he would potentially keep them out of school for that long so the kids can be there to help her recover and grieve knowing she has them, was how he explained it to me. I said no, and I explained that I was not letting him take them out of school for a week just for her. I told him the kids are not their emotional support to get them through this, and therapy is significantly better. I told him I didn't approve of them missing extended school time period, but I wasn't giving up my week for it. He tried to state the week he missed should be made up for, but our court-ordered parenting plan states if a parent voluntarily doesn't take their week, without an agreed-upon makeup period, then the other doesn't need to give up a week in return. I pointed this out to him and he asked me how I could be so by the book about this. He said human decency would state I should be willing to put aside our differences at a time like this, and that school isn't more important than family. He asked me how I would feel if she suicide because of this, and my refusal was part of the reason why. I told him I wouldn't feel anything. I told him they lost all their rights for me to feel something for them when they betrayed me and I would not be manipulated into agreeing. He's pushing very hard for this and trying to guilt me into agreeing. I know I might be overly harsh in my response to this, so I wanted to ask if people believe I'm wrong or not.